So it was quite a show with dazzling military hardware and innovative military technology, as well as just straightforward military prowess. So what was it all about? On one level, it was a commemorative moment to the victory over Japan in World War II by China. But even that wasn't without an agenda, although the key message was there is a new world order, and China is the leader of the rival bloc in that new world order, the rival bloc to the US. So to discuss all this, I'm joined now by Alessio Patalano. He joins us on the line from Tokyo. Thank you so much for joining us. He is professor in East Asian warfare and strategy at the Department of War Studies at King's College in London. Welcome to you. You are also adjunct fellow at the Institute of Contemporary Asian Studies at Temple University in Japan. I could go on. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on France 24, Mr. Patalano. We do appreciate it. I want to start, first of all, by saying, what is China saying with all of this? What is the big message, and who is this message aimed at?
That's an excellent question because it allows us to put a focus on the two big aspects of strategic communication at work here. One is, of course, to the Chinese public. Xi Jinping, and in particular the PLA, has been going through a difficult period of time with a number of very senior officers being dismissed or removed from post. This is first and foremost a message to the Chinese people that the core component of the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, as Xi Jinping has put it for the last 2 mandates that he's had, very much the military component of this is on track. It's going to deliver what it's supposed to deliver, which is a world-class military by the beginning of the 2030s. So this is first and foremost a message to the Chinese people that, notwithstanding what everybody in China has seen, which is removing of very senior officials because of corruption and scandals, this remains a very effective military machine. The other big message here is for the rest of the world. And in particular, I think here what we're looking at is one of those spectacles that absolutely the Chinese can put on when it comes to military pageantry, suggesting that this is a great power, but is a great power that is not coming from the West, that it does not stand for the type of behavior that the United States stands for, and that in this communication, in this messaging, is supposed to be the alternative, if you want, great power presenting option to the rest of the international community.
When you say that it does not represent the same kind of values as the United States, what are you talking about there? Are you talking about the idea of democracy being the ultimate way of governance? Are you talking about societal values? What are you getting at there?
So there's two elements to this, and again, it's very important that we touch upon this because, in one sense, Xi Jinping's ideas about a world order in which China has a much greater say is a world order that is constructed along somewhat of a negative set of values. It's about not being like the other side, first and foremost. At heart, this is about a different type of regimes in which democracy serves some sort of a form of authoritarian manifestation in which few are empowered to rule for the many, and the many will have to follow what the few have to say about their well-being. This is not certainly the type of projection. And in this respect, Xi Jinping, by showing the advances of its military with this parade, is also showcasing how the authoritarian regimes of the style and the fashion of the People's Republic of China can actually provide answers that in the West at the moment we seem to be struggling with: economic growth, economic development, international standing. So there's two elements of this story. One, it is about a form of governance that is different, a form of governance in which the trust to the senior political leadership is done not through democratic means, but through party process, and they set the stage for the welfare of the rest of society. And two, almost presenting a template for any other state, suggesting, look, authoritarian regimes have answers, can bring economic growth, can bring development, and it's going to be a very different one from the one that at the moment, a very transactional United States seems to be suggesting to be the alternative.
So, as you say, China appears to be trying to position itself as the leader of this rival bloc to the US-led West, if you like. How worried should the West be? I mean, how much do some of these countries, we saw Narendra Modi in China at the beginning of the week, now we have Putin, Kim Jong-un, how much do these countries really have in common? How much are they a bloc?
So this is again a very important question, because in reality we shouldn't be thinking about the sort of value-led convergence, the way the likes of which we've seen in Europe in multilateral groupings, alliances like NATO. This is much more about a strategic convergence of convenience, one in which mutual economic dependencies, common threats and enemies, predominantly the United States-led coalitions and multilateral forms of alliances, whether bilateral like in East Asia or multilateral like NATO in Europe, represent the main challenge. So these are countries that are coming together because of these commonality, rather than a shared sense of destiny and a shared sense of belief that they have something comprehensive to present. They're much more about looking at self-interest, and on the basis of that, developing a different world order in which however you define your form of governance is going to be fine, so long so you respect the hierarchical structure in which some countries like China will have a greater say because of their sheer preponderance in international affairs.
I just want to touch on another area of this parade and indeed the run-up to it. There's been quite a lot of comment about the fact that China, or Xi, has particularly emphasized the role. This parade was to commemorate the defeat in 1945 of Japan. And Xi has very much emphasized the role of the Communist Party of China in that defeat. Now, at the time, the Nationalist Party was ruling China, and a lot of people are seeing this as an attempt to rewrite history in a way and to lay the ground for Xi's territorial claims on Taiwan, where, of course, the nationalists fled at the end of the war. What do you make of all that?
So the messaging is actually very consistent with what are very clear positions that Xi Jinping has expressed over time. So let's break them down. First of all, the Chinese Communist Party has always been very big on narratives and has been very big on rewriting history in a way that suits the leadership of the day. And Xi Jinping is behaving in a fashion that is consistent to that period of time. As you rightly pointed out, China was notable in the victory over Japan by its overall absence insofar as the Chinese Communist Party is concerned. When in 1945, Japanese troops stopped fighting, they still had the single largest component of the army present in China. And much of what had been achieved, as you rightly pointed out, was at the hands of the nationalists. But at the same time, since the end of World War II, China has overtaken, the Chinese Communist Party has overtaken the nationalists, rules China, and the One China principle, that is a long-standing core position, sees Taiwan and China as indivisible. So from that perspective, he is absolutely restating what has been a consistent position for China, and that is that there is one China. We are that China. We inherited. We are the legitimate heir. There is a sense of linearity in history that ended with the Communist Party coming at the top of the governance system, and this is just a matter of time before the provinces that are not outside of the control of the Chinese Communist Party will come back, Taiwan being the most notable absence in this respect. And again, this also, on the other hand, plays to the strength of this broader narrative of a developing country that has made its own way into international affairs and now stands as one of the true giants of this time and age. There is, however, a fundamental contradiction. Xi Jinping's speech about how the ascendancy of China is proof of those who choose peace over war, of course, is somewhat ironic because we all know that China is one of the most significant bankrolling forces against the Russian ability to wage war in Ukraine. So in that sense, there are contradictions that cannot be left outside of this projection of a specific type of narrative.
Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your analysis, Alessio Patalano of King's College in London. Thank you so much for your analysis. We'll have to leave it there.